good afternoon, Mark. Thank you so much for agreeing to come and share your experience of living with HIV.
Thank you.
So, as we know that HIV, if it's detected early and patients or individuals are compliant with their medical team's advice, especially regarding taking their treatment, living with HIV is now a chronic manageable disease. There's an excellent outlook and normal life expectancy. However, unfortunately, there's still a few myths around, which hopefully we can deal with by actually hearing a real life experience. And that's where you come in.
Thank you.
Can you, Mark, tell us a little bit about your thoughts regarding HIV before you were actually diagnosed?
Many years ago, I saw a BBC documentary called Death in the Village. And it was before HIV/AIDS had come to this country. And I was just staggered by it. And it was about New York and the whole gay scene and where this mystery virus had come from and what it was. And I thought, that would be terrible. But it was divorced from my experience. And then we had the campaign here, Don't Die of Ignorance, which scared everybody half to death, and me included.
Yes.
And pretty much prior to I just shut down.
Yeah.
Like so many people I knew. For some, that particular shutdown was too late, but there was this whole culture of, I can't talk to anybody about it, I can't do anything about it, it's terminal, we're all going to be shipped off to an island somewhere and it's all going to be dreadful. And I remember it just being a nightmare time.
Yes.
Because that's when the rumour mill started, big time in this country.
Yeah.
And living with that was, I say traumatic, it was frightening.
Yeah.
Just frightening.
I can understand that. And it was a very much a taboo subject, which means people were not able to share their fears or understanding even of what that might mean. We've come a long way since. What can you tell us about your thoughts and feelings when you were initially diagnosed?
When I was initially diagnosed, it was through my GP, who was very nice, and we couldn't make out what the issue was, and then by process of elimination, we arrived at it, and I was told midweek, this is 10 years ago, then my doctor went on holiday for 2 weeks, and I was left with this knowledge, unwelcome, not knowing really what to do about it. What had happened in the past with the ad campaign, and it all blew up. And I was on my own for pretty much 2 weeks. And then I thought, I've got to do something about this. So I contacted an organisation called Brigstow Project in Bristol, who are very much like the Terence Higgins Trust and the Eddystone Trust. And they literally saved me.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear about your experience, and I can only say that even though it's in the recent past, as in 2015, I think it comes from the fact that it was your GP who diagnosed you and probably had not seen a case, and therefore how we would handle in a specialist clinic differed. I'm pleased to say that you actually thought about going somewhere where they could support you. I'm sure this wouldn't be the case today.
No, I'm sure it wouldn't, and I don't blame the doctor. It was the fact that they hadn't, in their words, come across anybody with HIV. And my retort to that, when I did see them on my return, they didn't. I said, "Well, you haven't come across anybody as far as you know.
Absolutely.
When you have HIV, you do not wear sackcloth and ashes. You do not have a symbol tattooed on you. It's just something which is there." And she hopefully learned from it.
Yeah, I think that's really important, both for medical and non-medical individuals, that actually there's no way of determining who has or who doesn't. They don't come with a stereotypical look. So it's important that medical staff are very much aware that it could affect anybody. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that's really important. So you sort of answered my next question partially, because I want to ask you how you manage that early stage. Oftentimes that's the most difficult time coming to terms with the diagnosis. And I know you talked about Bridgestone. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, what struck me first of all was that I had joined a club I didn't really want to be a member of, but then nobody did. But I thought, well, since I'm here, once I wouldn't say panic, but once the internal penny had dropped, I thought, right, what are you going to do about it? Because it wasn't going back to the 80s. We were already advanced from that. So I thought, okay, and I happened to see a leaflet on the Bridgestone project in Sadmeads Hospital, and I just picked this leaflet up and I called them, and literally they were just brilliant. They I wouldn't say I had therapy with them, but they listened,
Yes.
which is the biggest thing you
Yeah.
can have, is to be heard.
That's right.
Just be heard. So they helped me with all sorts of issues, and I came away from the first meeting with them calmer.
That's great. Yeah. I think it's, you flagged something up for me, is how accessible support needs to be. In your case, you picked up a leaflet. So we need to have these leaflets around. For some generations, that's what we'll do, hard copies. Other people, it will be on the internet.
Sure.
But I think we need to address each of those different modes of support, or how people can get support. And oftentimes I think you said, just being heard. I think when people get the diagnosis, in my experience, they find it very difficult to talk to anybody, so that their safe place is either the clinic or places like Bridgestone, which are charities to support those people. Would you say that?
Yes, I would. It is an organisation that is there to support. It doesn't solve your problems,
No.
but it listens.
Yes.
And there are many of them around the country, I know. It's just that is my experience.
Yes.
It enabled me to be absolutely honest, and it was an environment which was non-judgmental.
Very important.
Very, very important, because you were suddenly, as I said earlier, you're in this, you're in a club which you don't really want to be in. So how do I manage it? How do I navigate to the next stage? And they literally opened doors. So once the medication regime was put into place, I stayed in contact with them. I did some buddying with them. It worked really well. So I felt I had support from a medical side,
Absolutely.
which complemented what the medical side was able to do.
That's right. And I think that's really important. And I just want to talk about you equals you, because I think it's one of those important myths that need to be addressed. There's a strapline that we are keen to let people know, which means undetectable, you, is equivalent to untransmissible.
Well, there's the big one. That is almost, I wouldn't say that's a point for celebration, but it's a point for personal exuberance, because you have for the first time this sense that this condition is not going to kill me, which was not something I had when I was reading the ads in the 1980s into the early 90s, all the prejudice that came with that. And what I have found, and this is for myself, but I've become a sort of low-key evangelist. I say to people, for those that I have told my status, I don't say I'm HIV positive. I say, do you know what undetectable means?
That's right.
So I don't even give it a context. And they say, what do you mean? Now, if they do know, then they come straight back at me. But if they don't know, they say, well, what do you mean? So then I say, well, it's HIV. They go, oh, you're HIV positive. And he said, yes, but I'm undetectable.
Yes.
And then you explain what that is.
Yes.
And that is like a curtain dropping from people's perception.
Absolutely.
Everybody I've come across, as far as I'm aware, has said, I didn't know that.
There you are. There you are. And that's why I think we need to persist in pushing that message out. Importantly, it reduces stigma, external stigma now, because people understand that it's okay. It's just like living with any other chronic disease. High blood pressure, diabetes, it's not going to affect them because it's non-transmissible when you're undetectable.
Yes.
And I think that's a really important point. We have had the fortune of you recently moving to this area and joining our clinic to receive your care from Hope House, Gloucester. Can you describe, I know it hasn't been over a long time, but can you just let us know how your experience of your care in Hope House has been?
Just brilliant. I appreciate that's not a long enough answer. It's the first time in my diagnosis. I've had HIV. I've lived with it now for 10 years.
Yes.
And it's only in the last 6 months that I have begun to internalize it in a positive way. Wow. Pardon the pun. In that it's enabled me to engage with the staff, because that internal stigma lives with you.
Yes.
And so you feel that you're being judged even when you're not.
Absolutely.
So you feel you're being judged, and so that's internal to me. Since coming to Hope House, I haven't felt that, and it's diminished each time. It's diminished a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. That's got nothing to do with the staff. It's my perception of my relationship with the staff. So we've got to the stage now where I've been able to be completely honest. That's not to say I wasn't honest to a point before, but there's a degree of self-preservation.
Yes.
And you wrap yourself in a barrier, sort of behind a barrier to protect.
Yes.
And then I don't need that protection anymore.
That's really great to hear. And like you said, I am going to say that tells me that you felt much more at ease with the staff in Hope House.
Yes.
I think I would like to ask you specifically one thing regarding your care in Hope House that has stood out for you, that's made the difference.
the fact that you have time to be heard. I think that's the most important thing, because of the internal protection that I have.
Yes.
Other people might be different. I can't blame anybody else for my condition. It's my condition to deal with. But in talking to staff, it's having the time. You don't get the time with a GP. They're too busy.
That's right.
But when I've been to Hope House, nobody has ever said, well, time's up. It's you take as long as you need to. So that I think is the most important aspect.
Well, thank you for that. That's very encouraging. We always strive to care for our patients, give them the best care clinically, and be there for them, support them. So it's really nice to know that that's actually the lived experience that you've had. Oftentimes, I think staff don't always get that feedback, so it's really nice. Thank you. I think one of the things that we want to encourage people is to actually know their HIV status, adults. And you might have noticed a poster as you come into Hope House that says all adults should know their HIV status, particularly obviously if they've been sexually active. What message would you want to say to people who think HIV testing is not for me?
I would say consider that again, because it is not the condition that it was in 1985 or even 1990 or even 2000 or 2015. It's now, and it's different. It is not a death sentence. It is a manageable condition. I have to say, without minimizing it in any way, that I take my medication at the same time every day. It's part of my regime. I look after myself. I've been told, and now I accept, I'm going to live a normal life like anyone else.
Yeah.
So there's no reason not to be tested. It isn't what it was. It is what it is, which is fine.
That is so true. And thank you for that observation. There are a few groups of people. So there are a group of people who, which you've addressed, who are in fear of knowing their status. And you have quite rightly addressed there shouldn't be that fear. And apart from coming to a clinic, it can be done at the GP. You can get a home testing kit from online. So there are numerous ways you can access it. That's one category. There are a second category of people, as we know, who actually consider themselves not to be at risk. And one of my favourite things to tell people is that you might be low risk, but that doesn't mean no risk. I would encourage all adult individuals to know their HIV status. Well, I can only say thank you very much, Mark, for sharing your journey with us. It's always interesting. Thank you for what you've highlighted, and I know that lots of people will benefit from your sharing your story.
Thank you. Well, it's given me the chance to say to anyone listening that this is something that can be dealt with in a very caring way with assistance, and you lead a normal life just like everybody else.
Thank you.